Hey, this is CNE Channel. I'm Chris. This is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my predictions for Bellator 140, Lima versus Koreshkov, which happens on July 17th on Spike TV. Overall, you got names on the card. The main event's really good. Koreshkov versus Lima, legitimately good fight. I'll say this though, all the other fights on the main card look to be showcase fights. Showcase for Chris Honeycutt, Michael Venom Page especially, Brennan Ward. No, Ward versus Starrett isn't a bad fight, but at this point, Brennan Ward I think should win that one. And definitely a showcase fight for Paul Daley. On the prelims, the only really recognizable name would be Josh Neer. Waylon Lowe, who also fought in the UFC, is fighting to Matt Secor. I did actually watch footage of Secor, his last fight in the World Series of Fighting. Because that actually looks like an interesting bout. Otherwise, I don't know anything else about a lot of these guys. So they are going to be picking fights. Let's get started. In the main event for the Bellator welterweight title, Douglas Lima fights Andrey Koreshkov. Koreshkov has a 17-1 record, 10 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub, 24 years old on a 4-fight win streak, training out of Rust Fighters. He last fought in July of 2014. His stand-up is strong. He has really good knees. I mean, he won fights with like flying knees, for example. He has good kicks and just relatively heavy-handed guy. Dangerous in the stand-up. His takedown defense, though, I mean, mainly he said in the Ben Askren fight, so it's really hard to say. But as far as we can tell, his takedown defense doesn't look that great. Douglas Lima, 26-5 record, 12 wins by KO or TKO, 11 wins by sub, 27 years old on a 5-fight win streak, training out of ATT Atlanta. He is the Bellator welterweight champion, and he last fought in April of 2014. He has some strong Brazilian jiu-jitsu skills. He's really good off his back. Stand-up has greatly improved. He's pretty heavy-handed as well, and he has a strong leg kick game. One of his problems, though, is that he can be a little too content off of his back. I remember that in the regional scene and when he fought like Ben Askren. He just seems a bit too content to stay off his back instead of scramble back to his feet. This fight is interesting in the stand-up phases of the bout. Both of them are very good strikers. I kind of give the edge to Koreshkov in the stand-up, but that's not to say that Lima can't damage Koreshkov himself. Lima, though, is a more well-rounded guy. I think he could potentially take the fight to the ground and should be much more superior on the ground than Koreshkov. Not going to call finish. I'll go Douglas Lima. You know what? Screw it. Douglas Lima, submission. Even though Koreshkov's never actually been subbed, it's just one of those things where I think Lima, if he can get the fight to the ground, I believe he has a superior Brazilian jiu-jitsu and overall grappling skills. Like I said, though, as long as this fight stays on the feet, it can kind of go either way. Like I said, I favor Koreshkov. He seems a little cleaner with his stand-up than Lima. Nonetheless, really good fight here. Next fight, that Paul Bradley fights Chris Honeycutt. Bradley has a 22-6 record with 1 no contest, 7 wins by KO or TKO, 7 wins by sub. 32 years old, training out of Alliance. He is trading wins and losses right now. He can be a grinder, Paul Bradley. His wrestling's good. Stand-up's just average. But yeah, he can be something of a grinder at times. Chris Honeycutt, 6-0 undefeated record, 4 wins by KO or TKO, 1 win by sub. 26 years old, trains at a dethroned base camp with Josh Koscheck. He's a strong wrestler, super aggressive too, always pushes forward. When he takes you down, he looks to just beat you up with ground and pound, and it's very constant. He's also good at staying on the top in like a scramble situation. His stand-up, though, like technically, stand-up isn't that great. But yeah, this guy on the ground and with his wrestling, he's a beast. I'm really high on Chris Honeycutt as a prospect, and most people are. I think he beats Paul Bradley. I think he can probably get takedowns on Bradley and beat him up on the ground. I'm going to go Chris Honeycutt, ground and pound, KO or TKO. Next fight after that, Rudy Bears fights Michael Venom Page. Page, 7-0, undefeated record. 4 wins by KO or TKO, 2 wins by sub, 28 years old. He's tall for the weight class. He's 6'3". Training out of London Shoot Fighters. He is unorthodox stand-up. He has a real hands-down style. Really strong kicks. Will use different types of kicks as well. From what you can see from his grappling, it looks to be improving, like steadily improving. But we have yet to really see it truly tested. Rudy Bears, 16-13 record. 5 wins by KO or TKO, 8 wins by sub. Also has 4 losses by KO or TKO and 7 losses by sub. 36 years old on a 2-fight win streak. His grappling's pretty good. Stand-up average at best. You know, he's just a journeyman fighter against a really hot prospect. Gotta go with Michael Venom Page to possibly just style on Rudy Bears. Michael Venom Page, KO or TKO. Next fight with that, Gavin Starrett fights Brennan Ward. Starrett has a 6-1 record, 1 win by TKO, 4 wins by sub. 35 years old on a 6-fight win streak. The last fought in March of 2014. His grappling is good. His stand-up, I'd say it's just average. Brennan Ward, 10-3 record, 6 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. Also has 2 losses by KO or TKO. 27 years old. He's a strong wrestler. I forgot what his background is, but he actually has a pretty good wrestling background. His boxing is actually pretty solid. He's really aggressive. It can be to his detriment because he kind of just goes forward in a straight line, and I got him caught against like Tandon McCrory. And he's pretty heavy-handed too. Knocked out Curtis Millender in his last fight. I think Ward should be the better wrestler here and arguably the better striker. I'm going to go Brennan Ward by KO or TKO here. Yeah, I mean, there's really not much I can say, you know. It's just, because like I said, a lot of these fights, they come across like showcase fights to me. Next fight, that Paul Semtex Daley fights Dennis Olson. So I watched Olson's, I saw 2 of his fights in CES against Brett Ottery and Todd Chantel. Olson has a 14-8 record, 1 win by TKO, 9 wins by sub. He also has 3 losses by KO or TKO and 3 losses by sub. He's trading wins and losses right now, and for a while too, that's been happening with him. His Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills are good. His stand-up is like decent at best. There's against Todd Chantel, and that guy was just getting beat up in the stand-up. Managed to get the takedown though. Got dropped like once and wobbled. Gets a takedown and gets a north-south choke and wins. Daley, 36-13 record with 2 draws. 26 wins by KO or TKO, 2 wins by sub. Also has 2 losses by KO or TKO and 5 losses by sub. 32 years old on a 3-fight win streak. Has some strong kickboxing and a particularly strong left hook. That is his money punch. And he has landed that and knocked guys out cold with it. He is very heavy-handed. And his grappling for like the longest time, a lot of people try and take him to the ground, and superior grapplers can. But you can tell that Daley actually works on his grappling. His takedown defense isn't that bad. Once he's on the ground, he does try to actively get back to his feet. It's just not his strength, but it's definitely the weakest part of his game. But, you know, he's not a guy that you're gonna insta-sub at anymore, you know? Except unless there's some really, really high-level guy. With that said, Paul Daley by knockout. I mean, Paul Daley in his last fight fought a Brazilian guy, I totally forgot his name, who's probably a better grappler than Olson, and was able to take a hit better too, you know? Paul Daley, heck, I'll probably just call it a left hook knockout too. I'll go that far. But not Paul Daley by knockout there. On to prelims. Josh Neer fights Matt Secor. Or Secor. I think it's Secor. Matt Secor, 6-2 record, 5 wins by sub, 1 win by decision, 28 years old on a 2-fight win streak. When I saw from him, he's not the greatest in the stand-up. I saw him against Chip something or another in the World Series of Fighting. He does have good wrestling, a really good shot too, deceptively quick about getting that takedown. His top control is good. He will actively pass to mount. But yeah, stand-up is something that needs a lot of work. Josh Neer, 36-14 record with 1 draw, 18 wins by KO TKO, 14 wins by sub. Has 2 losses by KO TKO and 5 losses by sub. 32 years old, training out of Cesar Gracie. His stand-up's good. He's a really good clinch striker as well. His Brazilian jiu-jitsu skills are actually pretty good. You know, he can land a good guillotine. He will throw up triangles off his back, for example. His takedown defense is really bad, and it looks like it just got worse and worse over time. And then he gets way too content off of his back. It's gotten to a point where he's just like holding on, hoping for the ref to stand to fight back up. He's not really actively trying to get back to his feet these days. You know, I know Josh Neer is more well known, and he can win the fight in the stand-up. I kind of have a feeling that Matt Secor is just going to utilize his wrestling, stay on top, and just grind out a win. I'm actually going to go Matt Secor by decision here. I just felt, especially in Neer's, was against Bradley in his last fight. He just got taken down, looks at the ref, and starts arguing with him about why he's not getting stood up. And it was just like, come on, man. I don't know. I just don't know if his head is even in it now, too. He's had 51 fights, you know? And Matt Secor's, like I said, deceptively good takedowns. Really quick shot, so, you know, I'm going to go with Secor to utilize his wrestling to grind out a decision. Next right after that, haven't watched any footage of these guys. Oh, I've seen Blair Tugman. I just don't remember him very well. Tugman, 7-5. It's Rodrigo Almeida fights Blair Tugman. Tugman has a 7-5 record, 3 wins by submission, 4 wins by decision. He's on a 2-fight win streak. Rodrigo Almeida, 12-2 record, 2 wins by KO TKO, 5 wins by sub. Also has 2 losses by submission, 29 years old on a 7-fight win streak. I'll go with Rodrigo Almeida for the win there. Let's fight with that. Ilya Kotau fights Nicholas Sergiacom. Kotau has no pro MMA fights, no amateur MMA fights. All I know is he trains out of ATT Connecticut. Sergiacom, 1-0 undefeated record with 1 win. That 1 win being by sub. I'm going to go with Nicholas Sergiacom for the win. So after that, Eric Bedard fights Parker Porter. Porter has a 5-4 record, 2 wins by KO TKO, 2 wins by sub. Also has 2 losses by KO TKO and 2 losses by sub. He'll be a shorter fighter at 6 foot. He's on a 2-fight losing streak. He's only won 1 of his last 4. Eric Bedard, 6-5 record, 4 wins by KO TKO, 2 wins by sub. Also has 2 losses by KO TKO and 2 losses by sub. He's 30 years old. He's a taller fighter at 6'2". He's only won 2 of his last 6. He is a finisher. I'll go with Eric Bedard for the win there. Like I said, with all these fights, I just have not watched any footage of these guys. None of them from what I can tell, look to be like any type of great prospect. Trains at some particularly good camp, even like well-known camp. Young fight, you know, there are not even too many young fighters on here, so I'm really not bothering to watch. You know, it's just pick'em fights. I don't know if we'll ever see these guys again, you know? Next we got that Remo Cardarelli fights Billy Giovanella. Cardarelli has a 4-2 record with all 4 wins by sub. His 2 losses are by KO or TKO. He's on a 2-fight losing streak. He is a finisher. He's never been to decision. Billy Giovanella, 8-3 record, 3 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. Has his 2 losses by KO or TKO, 29 years old. I'll go with Billy Giovanella for the win there. So after that, Alex Dunworth fights Dean Hancock. Dean Hancock has a 1-0 undefeated pro MMA record with that 1 win by sub. Alex Dunworth, 2-1 record with 1 no contest, 1 win by submission, 1 win by decision. He's on a 2-fight win streak, so I'll go with Alex Dunworth for the win there. Next fight after that, we do have a women's fight here. It's Kaline, the Dark Angel Medeiros fights Sarah Solja Payant. Payant has a 1-0 undefeated pro MMA record with that 1 win by sub. She has a 1-3 amateur record with that 1 win as an amateur by decision. Kaline Medeiros, 4-4 record as a pro. She's 1 win by KO, 3 wins by decision. She also has 2 losses by submission. I'll go Kaline Medeiros for the win there. And finally, Waylon Lowe fights Ryan Quinn. Ryan Quinn, 10-5 record with 1 draw, 1 win by TKO, 3 wins by sub. He also has 2 losses by submission. Excuse me. Trains out of ATT, Connecticut. Waylon Lowe, 15-6 record with 1 no contest, 7 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. He also has 2 losses by KO or TKO and 4 losses by sub. 34 years old, training out of ATT. I remember that I haven't seen a Waylon Lowe fight in a while. I remember he was actually a pretty good wrestler or grappler. But I don't remember much about him, to be honest with you. I'm just going to go Waylon Lowe for the win there. Okay, to recap, the main card of Douglas Lima over Andrey Koreshkov, Chris Honeycutt beating Paul Bradley, Michael Page beating Rudy Bears, Brennan Ward over Gavin Sterrett, and Paul Daley over Dennis Olson. On the prelims, I have Matt Secor over Josh Neer, Rodrigo Almeida beating Blair Tugman, Nicholas Sergiacom over Ilya Kotau, Eric Bedard over Parker Porter, Billy Giovanella beating Remo Cardarelli, Alex Dunworth over Dean Hancock, Kaline Medeiros over Sarah Payant, and Waylon Lowe over Ryan Quinn. So that's it for my prediction for Bellator 140, Lima versus Koreshkov. If you have any comments, just leave them below. And that's it for MMA for you. Thank you guys very much.